Hi, in this video you are going to learn how to solve algebraic equations. At the end of the lesson, you will be able to know what an algebraic equation is, how to solve an algebraic equation, the rules applied when solving algebraic equation, as well as follow along with work examples. What is an algebraic equation? We can define it as a mathematical statement showing two expressions are equal. What does this actually mean? If I have 3x plus 5 is equal to 20, what it means is that I have three important parts of this equation. I have the left hand side of the equation called the expression number 1. The right hand side is the expression number 2. And they are separated by an equal sign. And the key point here is that the two expressions must always be equal. In other words, the left hand side of the equation should always be equal to the right hand side of the equation. And our mission is to find the value of x that will make the equation true. Now, in solving an algebraic equation, the main task here is to find the unknown variable x that will make the equation true. Let's take an example. Now, if I have x plus 4 is equal to 9, the first question I'll ask myself is, what number can replace x such that if I add that number to 4, I will get a result of 9. In other words, if I take the left hand side of the equation, I should get exactly the same number as 9, which is at the right hand side of the equation. By just thinking through, if I replace x by 5, then 5 plus 4 is going to give me 9. And that means that x plus 4 is equal to 9 should give me the value of x being equal to 5. And that solves it. Another example here. If I have x plus 6 is equal to 12, same question. What number can replace x? And when added to 6, it will give us 12. By thinking through, x should give us 6. And that is very simple. But the challenge comes when I have 2x plus 9 is equal to 25. Or as we try to increase the numbers and also introduce more constant and coefficient in front of the variables. In this case, the question that we ask ourselves changes to what number can I multiply by 2 and add the result to 9 to get the right hand side of the equation 25. And by thinking through this, it becomes a bit difficult to just guess as we did earlier. And that is where it is important for us to introduce the golden rule of algebraic expressions. And the rule is that when we are solving an algebraic equation, whatever that we do to one side of the equation, we must do the same thing to the other side of the equation. What does this actually mean? Let's apply the rule in solving this question. X plus 7 is equal to 15. We can easily guess the number as we did in the previous examples. But I want us to apply the rule. So the first thing here is, in applying the rule to solve this algebraic equation, we need to now start with the left-hand side of the equation, x plus 7. Remember, you can start with the right-hand side, but the easier way is to start with the side that has the variable x. So the constant with this side is 7. So my next question is, I look for the zero pair of 7, and that is negative 7. What is a zero pair? Is the number that can be added to another number to get 0. So the zero pair of 7 is negative 7. And this zero pair must be added to both sides of the equation. So this means that I will repeat the x plus 7 and add my zero pair, which is negative 7. That is for the left-hand side of the equation. Then when I come to the right-hand side too, I will repeat the same zero pair, which is negative 7. And that is the first most important step. Then the next step is to look at this side of the equation. 7 minus 7 will give us 0. That simplifies the left-hand side to x. And then the right-hand side becomes 15 minus 7, which gives us 8. And that is very simple. All right, now let's take another example. This time around, we are not going to guess. We are trying to apply the golden rule. X plus 5 is equal to 10. I know you have already guessed the answer, but let's go by the golden rule. I will first look for the zero pair of 5, which is negative 5. I am now going to use the negative 5 and add it to both sides of the equation. So from the left-hand side, I have x plus 5 minus 5. To the right-hand side, I have 10 minus 5. Remember, 5 minus 5 gives us 0. That simplifies the left-hand side to x is equal to 5. Simple. Another example. 7 plus x is equal to 12. Remember, we are trying to get rid of the number that is added to x on one side of the equal sign. So I look for the zero pair of 7, and that is negative 7. So 7 minus the 7 plus x on the left-hand side of the equation, and is equal to 12 also minus 7, because the rule says whatever that we do to the left-hand side, we should do to the right-hand side. Again, 7 minus 7 gives us 0. So x will now give us 5, because 12 minus 7 is 5. If we understand the golden rule, it becomes so very easy to solve any algebraic equation. All right, example 3. X minus 9 is equal to 13. Remember, the rule is we are trying to get rid of the constant with x on one side of the equation. So we are going to get rid of negative 9. What is the zero pair of negative 9? In other words, what number can you add to negative 9 to get 0? And that is positive 9. So we write this as x minus 9 plus the 9, which is the new zero pair we have introduced, is equal to 13 plus 9, applying the golden rule. Once again, negative 9 plus 9 gives us 0. That simplifies the whole thing to s is equal to 22, which is 13 plus 9. It's very simple to apply the golden rule, especially when it is just a one variable expression or equation. Example 4. X minus 2 is equal to 20. Let me give you some few seconds to try this out. All right, let's solve it together. I know you have already guessed the answer, but let's go by the golden rule. What is the zero pair of negative 2? It's positive 2. So we add positive 2 to both sides of the equation, and that becomes x minus 2 plus the 2 is equal to 20 plus the 2. Once again, negative 2 plus 2 gives us 0. So we have x is equal to 22. And that is correct. Now, what if the equation is in this format? We have 4x is equal to 28. This gives us another challenge as to how we can solve this. And it is also very simple. We follow these rules when the question is in this format. The rule here is any number in front of x must be made 1. We need to convert that number to 1. So this time around, instead of looking for the zero pair, we try to use the same number to divide each side of the equation. So we're going to divide each side by 4 so that we can get rid of the 4 to make it 1. And if we cancel out the 4, the left hand side will be left with x, and the right hand side will be 28 divided by 4, which is 7. Another example, 5x is equal to 50. Remember, the rule is we have to make the coefficient of x 1, but it is currently 5. So what do? We divide each side of the equation by the coefficient of x. Then we cross out the 5, because 5 divided by 5 will give us 1. And this gives us s is equal to 10, which is 50 divided by 5. Another example, if I have 3x is equal to 9, the same method, the coefficient in front of x is 3. I need to make it 1. So I have to divide by the same 3. So divide each side of the equation by 3. And then when we cross out the 3, we have x is equal to 3. Because 9 divided by 3 will give us 3. This is so very simple. What if the question comes in this way as a fraction? X over 5 is equal to 9. This is another set of questions that we need to know how to solve it. And it's also very simple. The rule here is we are going to multiply both sides of the equation by the denominator of the fraction. The reason is we need to make sure that x stands alone. Or we can also multiply each side by 1/5. But let's go the easier way. We are going to multiply each side by the denominator, which is 5. So this leads us to 5 times x on 5 is equal to 9 times 5. Remember, we are still using the golden rule. Whatever we do to one side of the equation, we must do the same to the other side of the equation. Now we cross out a 5, and then x will now be equal to 45. Example 1. If I have x over 3 is equal to 4, we need to multiply each side of the equation by 3. We cross out the 3, and x will be equal to 12. Very simple. Example 2. X over 7 is equal to 2. Try it out. Great. I believe you did exactly the same as what I was thinking about. You multiply each side of the equation by 7, and the 7 cross out, and we have x is equal to 14. Now we move on to multi-step equation. Let's start with this one. 3x plus 5 is equal to 20. Remember, we are going to still use the golden rule. So the first step is to think about getting rid of the number added to the s term in one side of the equation. In this case, it's 5. So what is the zero pair of 5? It's negative 5. So I start by writing everything on the board, but make a space for the zero pair. So I have 3x plus 5 minus 5 is equal to 20 minus 5. Then again, 5 minus 5 will give me 0. So I'll get 3x is equal to 20 minus 5, and that will give me 15. So that takes me to another level of the questions that we have already solved. 3x is equals to 15. The next step is I need to get rid of the coefficient of x and make it 1. And that means I need to divide each side again by 3, cross out the 3, and x will now be equal to 15 divided by 3, which is 5. And that solves the equation. Another example, 2x plus 3 is equal to 5. We begin with the number 3 by finding the zero pair of 3. The zero pair of 3 is negative 3. So this gives me 2x plus 3 minus 3 is equals to 5 minus 3. What next? 3 minus 3 will give me 0. So I have 2x is equal to 5 minus 3, which gives me 2. That takes us to the next step of the equation. We are now going to divide each side by 2 and cross out the 2. So x is now equal to 2 divided by 2, which is 1. Excellent. Example 2. 4x minus 2 is equal to 6. Once again, think through. What is the zero pair of negative 2? It's positive 2. So this gives us 4x minus 2 plus 2 is equal to 6 plus 2. Once again, negative 2 plus 2 gives us 0. So that leaves us with 4x is equal to 6 plus 2, giving us 8. At this level, we divide each side by 4. We cross out the 4, and x will be equal to 8 divided by 4, which gives us 2. So if you understand the rule or the golden rule of algebraic expression, it becomes so easier to solve multi-step equations. Now, what if we have variables on both sides of the equation? How do we go about it? An example is this: 4x plus 2 is equal to 2x plus 10. I believe you can see we have two expressions, one on the left hand side and the other one on the right hand side. How do we solve this equation? First, let's start with one side of the equation and begin with a constant that has no x. You can as well begin with a term with x. But for now, let's begin with a term without x. In this case, I want us to begin with the number 2 and look for the zero pair of 2 and add it to both sides of the equation. This gives me 4x plus 2 minus 2, then is equals to 2x plus 10, also minus 2. Remember, we are applying the golden rule. Then we go to the next step. Now, 2 minus 2 gives us 0. So from the left-hand side, we have 4x is equal to 2x plus 10 minus 2, which is 8. All right. Now you could see that the coefficient or the numbers without x is now left with 8, and those with x, we have 4x and 2x. Then that takes us to the next step. We need to also get rid of one of the terms with x. So we continue with 2x, and we find the zero pair of 2x, which is going to be negative 2x. So once again, add negative 2x to both sides of the equation. And this gives us 4x minus 2x is equal to 2x minus 2x plus 8. We can cross out 2x, and that leaves us at the right hand side the number 8, but the left hand side becomes 4x minus 2x, which is 2x. So we have 2x is equal to 8. Then we perform our last activity by dividing each side by 2. We cross out the 2, and x will now be equal to 4. All right, so you could realize here that if we have x or a variable on both sides of the equation, we go through multiple steps before we can arrive at the last or the right answer. All right, example: 2x plus 3 is equal to 4x minus 7. I want us to begin with the number 3. So the zero pair of 3 is negative 3. I'm going to have 2x plus 3 minus 3 is equal to 4x minus 7 minus 3. I'll cross out the 3 because 3 minus 3 will give me 0. That leaves me with 2x is equals to 4x minus 10. Once again, I want to get rid of 4x. So I'll find the zero pair of 4x, and that is going to give me negative 4x. So I have 2x minus 4x is equals to 4x minus 4x minus 10. Once again, I'll cross out the 4x and 4x. So I have 2x minus 4x being 2x, and it should be equal to negative 10. Then the last step is I don't want the negative 2 to be in front of x. I want to have 1. So we're going to divide each side by negative 2. And we cross out the negative 2, and that leaves x to be equal to 5. Excellent. Now the last part that I need you to consider is, how do I check that my answer is correct? After solving a question like this, what I would advise you to do is to replace the x by the value that you had as your answer to check whether the left hand side will be equal to the right hand side. So in this case, I had x is equal to 5. We're going to replace the x by 5 in the main equation. So that gives me 2 in bracket 5 plus 3 is equal to 4 in bracket 5 minus 7. Remember, 2 times 5 will give us 10 plus 3. Then 4 times 5 is 20 minus 7. From the left hand side, 10 plus 3 is 13. From the right hand side, 20 minus 7 is also 13. So my answer is correct. And by doing this, you are very confident that you had the right answer because you checked. There are some common mistakes that you should avoid when solving algebraic equation. Number one, don't forget that everything that you do on one side of the equation, you have to do the same to the other side of the equation. Again, don't forget that when you're looking for the zero pair, you need to change the sign. If you're looking for the zero pair of a negative number, it should be a positive number. If you're looking for the zero pair of a positive number, it should be a negative number. Again, don't forget your arithmetics. You might be tempted to ignore some signs, and that can lead you to a wrong answer. And again, don't forget to check your answer to make sure that you've done the right thing. And if you follow these steps, you should be able to solve any algebraic equation with ease. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow me for more videos. Thank you very much.